Camp Bastion, celebrated in front of a makeshift wooden cross with the last post. Camp Bastion in Afghanistan earlier this morning. Now the ritual here at the cenotaph begins with the music played by the mass bands of the Guards Division, the pipes and drums of the 5th Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, the band of the Royal Marines, the band, buglers and trumpeters of the Royal Air Force, under the baton this morning of Lieutenant Colonel Graham Jones. And the music begins with Rule Britannia. The mass bands next play Heart of Oak, The Minstrel Boy and Men of Harlech. Among those who come to the cenotaph each year are some for whom it's an annual event, like those that Sophie Rayworth was talking to a moment ago, a moment to honour their comrades. But for others, it's a visit triggered for the first time by the need to commemorate the fallen. Two men from the Second World War here today are Henry Hounslow, who served in the Royal Air Force, and Rolf Monteith, a Canadian, who along with his friends joined early up in the war.
I joined the Royal Canadian Navy from a tiny town in Ontario called Clinton, and I served the entire war in Britain with the Royal Navy. And what always intrigued me was the number of my schoolmates and townmates who joined the Canadian services, and sadly 5 of those very close to me paid the ultimate price and died serving in Bomber Command during World War II. Of course, one particular one was my cousin Charlie Monteith, who was shot down over Germany in early 1943 at the tender age of 20. And I note that he's registered in the St. Clement Danes Register of Casualties. As I march past the cenotaph each year, and I've been doing it for over 20 years, I remember clearly in my mind those mates of mine who lost their lives in World War II.
I've watched the cenotaph service on the television for 30 years. Every year we lose more people. And this year I said to my wife, I think I'd like to go to cenotaph. I was in the RAF in World War II. My grandfather was killed in the First World War. My dad got partially gassed. Not only do I have to think about the First and Second World War, but the young lads today who are fighting in Afghanistan. And they look younger than I was then, but being older now as I am, I feel that they look too young. Although I watch it every year, I still feel as I haven't done enough, so I decided I wanted to go.
The pipes and drums of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders now take over the music with the Skye Boat Song. The bands now play Isle of Beauty. The names of the dead in our present wars are read out each week in the House of Commons. Their photographs are displayed in the newspapers. And Craig Barber was one of those faces. He was a private in the 2nd Battalion Royal Welsh. He was nearing the end of his second tour of duty in Iraq when he was killed driving his Warrior armoured vehicle.
Well, Craig was very caring, you know, he always put people before himself. He was an amazing father, teaching Bradley everything. Craig was loud, but not in an obnoxious way, you know. If he was the only person in the house was full with just him, you know. He went out in the May, and it would have been our first wedding anniversary at the end of August. So he'd arranged his R&R to come back. When Craig died, it was 11 days before he's due to fly home for R&R.
Yeah. So Daddy's friends.
We do talk about him all the time. Sometimes he'll just come up with, "Oh, I miss my daddy."
Who's this? My daddy loves me. That's me.
Yeah. He was a baby. He kisses his pictures and he likes doing things that his daddy did, like going to play football and remembering going swimming with his dad and stuff like that, so he'll never be forgotten in his mind. When Craig died, I used to go and sit out in the garden by myself, my little bit of peace and quiet, time to think. And I used to look up at the top of the mountain, and just one day I thought, you know, I'm going to walk up that mountain on his first anniversary and I'm going to plant a flag there for him, and it's there for everybody to see.
This is where Craig played as a young boy in the forestries. This is where he came and played fox and hounds with all his friends, and he used to play armies in the forestry as well. The whole of this, he owned this. This was his valley. And this is where his army career began, really, for want of a better word. I say, take the little dog with you. No, he gives the show away. He lets the enemy know where I am. And this is where he played. Oh, he was really proud. Gosh, the day he came home and said, "Mum, I'm a tank driver now and I've been chosen by the commander to drive his tank." That 4-year-old boy I had came back. That little spark in his eye, it was there. The phone rang. It was 20 to 12 in the night. Nobody rings me at 20 to 12 in the night. So when that phone rang, I knew before I picked that phone up there was bad news on the other end of the phone, and it was actually the notifying officer. Briefly started to introduce himself, and I said, "I'm going to stop you there, I've lost him." "Yes," he said, "You've lost him."
Craig died doing something he loved, but he was also doing something for the country. We're really proud of him. We want everybody to know that. We want people to know what he did and that we're so very proud of him.
Every single day I open my curtains and I can see the flag every day, and that is a memory for me that people come up here, because I can see those people coming up to the flag, sitting